So I want to read this morning from the book of Habakkuk. Um, I like to give you all a little bit of history and pretext behind it. So I started this book last night after finishing Jonah the other day, and I just continued along in the Old Testament. And this book of Habakkuk is very interesting. All of them are interesting, obviously, right? But um, when you read about a little bit into the history and the genealogy behind it, it was fascinating, and it had me up late in the night finishing off this particular um, chapter after I learned who he was. So he was this prophet in the city of Babylon, and according to Hebrew, we didn't know exactly how factual it is, but according to Hebrew history, he is actually, I don't know if you guys remember the story of Elisha, and when the woman had a son that had died. So she prayed for a son, and God gave her a son, and the son had died, and Elisha brought the son back to life. Well, Habakkuk was that child. So once I found that out, it was extremely interesting to just read his story and, see that how far his word um, had gone into the New Testament, being that he coined the phrase, the righteous shall live by their faith. And this was something that was repeated multiple times by the disciples. It was repeated by Jesus when Jesus had sort of commanded us to only obey two commandments, which is to love God and love each other. And um, it was extremely interesting. But anyway, let me get into the verse. And Habakkuk 3:17 through 19 says, even though the fig trees have no blossoms, and there are no grapes on the vines, even though the olive crop fails, and the fields lie empty and barren, even though the flocks die in the fields, and the cattle barns are empty, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, able to tread upon the heights. And today, I am just grateful for the opportunity that God gives us every morning to be here and to just live as righteous kingdom citizens. This particular verse stood out to me, and the reason why I bookmarked it in my Bible app and wanted to say it to you guys was because it well, really, because the end part of it where it says, the sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, able to tread upon the heights. And so growing up in Cat Island, one of the things that if you know about like goats and those kind of animals, right, is that like you'll be coming on the boat along like a tough cliff or edge, right? And when you look up, you will see hundreds of goats just standing like on these little tiny rocks. I mean, their 4 foot would look like as though you have clasped your hand and just stood on a rock, And I always used to be fascinated by it, because I was like, what the hell are these goats doing out there? And, it it's almost as though they were so confident that they wouldn't fall, that they would climb these rocks. And that's what it means to be sure-footed, to be confident in knowing that God is going to provide. God is going to fulfill his promises. In this particular verse, this verse reminded us too that even when nothing seems to be going right, you know, like you may wake up this morning and you may not have no money today. You may not even have food today. But see, your faith can provide and let you know that before the end of the day, you can eat. Before the end of the day, you can have money. Before the end of the day, whatever it is that is promised to you will come to pass. You can't miss it if you wanted to, because it was written in the bells and courses of history way before you came around. It was a part of a big, huge plan that you just happened to be a part of. From you were put on this planet, you are part of God's plan. That you can't change that. And whether or not it's something bad, or you may think that it's bad, but whether or not it's something good, is still a part of a greater plan. Sometimes the light misery that you may be going through might be a lesson that could save somebody's life. Sometimes the fact that you may have to swallow your pride and ask somebody for something may uplift somebody to know that they could help you. Sometimes the littlest things that God puts us through gives us just a little bit more strength to know that we could make it to see another day. Because many times we look at life and we say to ourselves, boy, I don't know how I can make it. But you know who know how? God knows how. But the righteous shall live by their faith. Once we have faith to know that God is going to be faithful to his promises, he is going to do what he said he's going to do. And through any adversity, through any famine, through any crop fails, through if the fields lie empty and barren, you will continue to rejoice in the Lord. And you heard what he said in this particular verse? He said, I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. That means that no matter what you go through, be happy because at least you here on this planet to go through it. Dead people don't go through nothing. Nothing. And I thank you again for the opportunity to speak. Um, God is good, y'all. And I'm just so happy to be here and just being here with Kingdom citizens and just having the opportunity for y'all to listen to me and for me to listen to y'all and to just be here, y'all. Let the righteous continue to live by their faith. I'm Kerry and I relinquish my mind.